Welcome to the Elevate Denver podcast, the place where local businesses and the Denver metro community connect. Here's your host, Amber Betts.
Hey there, I'm Amber Betts with the Elevate Denver podcast, and today we're super excited to be here with Jerry Bowman of Bowman Law. Hi, Jerry. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So tell us about your business and everything that you do.
Yes, Bowman Law is a Colorado-based personal injury law firm. We represent people whose lives have been turned upside down because of serious injury or some trauma. When someone gets hurt because of another person's negligence, it's our job to pursue justice against that person. And so we typically represent people who have been physically hurt, emotionally, psychologically, in car crashes, premise liability cases, which includes slip and falls or trip and falls, dog bite cases, product liability cases, trucking cases, and wrongful death type cases. We're very hands-on. We're very investigation forward firm. We do a lot in the beginning stages of a case to make sure that we have all the proper information, not only about the person that we're talking to, including the injuries and lost wages and pain and suffering, but also about the tortfeasor, the at-fault party, seeking out information about their background and about their work history if they're working for a company. We obtain a lot of documents and a lot of pieces of evidence early in a case, because the problem with personal injury cases is, that it takes so long. It takes several years sometimes, and memories fade during that time and evidence gets lost. And so it's important to do that early in a case. And we take pride in the work that we do early on.
Amazing. So tell the listeners kind of your background, how you got started in the business, your backstory.
Sure. I actually started, well, let me backtrack. I moved back to Colorado in 2010 after attending Michigan State University School of Law. I had lived in Aspen for 3 years right before that, and I really wasn't doing much besides teaching at a community college and bartending and snowboarding. And so in 2010, in the winter, I moved back to Colorado. And after passing the bar, I started working for a personal injury law firm. It was really the first ad that I saw back when Craigslist actually mattered. And, I found this ad and I started working for this law firm, and I quickly realized that the person I was working for was somewhat self-destructive. And after about 6 months, the firm imploded. So I saw how not to run a business and how not to practice law, but I was in my early stages of being a lawyer. And so at that point, that 6-month mark, there was another associate at the firm, Jennifer, and I started our own firm, and it was Bowman and Chamberlain back in 2012, 2013. And we had some cases, and over the course of the 9 years that we worked together, we really built a significant practice with a lot of very happy clients. And we learned, obviously, how to run a business the right way and how to practice law in the meantime.
Amazing. Well, so you've touched on this already. So just to expand on that, what sets you apart from your competition? Why do your clients choose you? So like I said, you mentioned it, but tell us more.
Sure. Any smart consumer needs to do research before buying a product or securing an agreement with somebody like a lawyer. There's so many lawyers out there. You're watching the evening news and there's 4 or 5 that advertise every single minute. It seems like, you're driving down the street and you hear a jingle on the radio and you see these billboards, and oftentimes it's the same people that we're talking about, the larger firms that spend $10-20 million a year on advertising. Right. The problem with these firms, the problem with these firms is that they're mills, some of them. They work over quantity as opposed to quality of cases. And so they have lawyers there that oftentimes don't even communicate with their clients. It's the job of another person. These are big organizations. Another issue is that we have a lot of out-of-state law firms that are moving into Colorado now because some of our laws are a little bit more lucrative than other states. And so they see that as an opportunity. And so we see these billboards going up all the time for people who don't even have an office in Colorado. Wow. That's a big problem, because when people are trying to find a lawyer, they remember seeing a billboard that says this lawyer got them $3 billion, and they don't do the research to find out that this law firm is based in Florida. Maybe they have a lawyer or two here, but that doesn't mean that they're really entered into the community, that they have ties to the community, that they understand the nuances of Colorado laws and the rules of civil procedure. There's a lot that goes into it. And so when we're talking about those firms versus what Bowman Law does, when we take a case, a potential new client talks to an attorney the day that they call in. They talk to a paralegal first, we gather some information, we qualify the case, and then the lawyer spends as much time as necessary. That includes going to their house, going to the hospital if necessary, just to make sure that we're getting the proper information. And we take time to understand the nuances of the case and, specifically how we can help them out. We also take time educating them and explaining how the process works. And so during the course of their case, the pendency of their case, we're really communicating about the status of where they are along that continuum. Every month or so, we are designating a certain phase that they're in, and they get, an email or a text with information about that phase, a video about what that phase is, frequently asked questions about what that phase is. And they're really communicating with us on a, real-time fashion, whereas other firms, I hear this complaint all the time from clients who come from other firms, is that they don't hear from their lawyer. They call, they don't hear back. They send an email, there's no response. Weeks go by and they have no idea what's going on in their case. That's not how it is at Bowman Law. We take the time to understand the cases and to help represent people in a way that they feel comfortable working with us, which is why we have such a great reputation online.
Amazing. So again, you've kind of touched on this, but we like to talk about kind of misconceptions in your business or industry. Tell us more. One
important misconception is that personal injury cases allow you to have a quick fix or quick money. That's not the case. Lawsuits are not frivolous. And the truth is, most people that are injured, it takes time for them to heal. It takes time for them to get back to pre-collision condition or maximum medical improvement. It takes time for them to get back to the way that their life was prior to the crash. Personal injury claims are really not about winning the lottery. They're about making sure that a person is held accountable when they cause a collision, when they cause injuries, and that includes financial accountability. Oftentimes we're going through insurance, but the point is, when people are looking at personal injury cases and they're not injured, there's other firms that will handle those cases, but that's not Bowman Law. Bowman Law is going to take cases where the people actually have verifiable objective injuries. And when I say objective, obviously there's going to be objective, and then sometimes there's going to be more subjective complaints. And I'm talking more about like brain injuries, where you can't actually detect what's going on in the brain. Even with some radiological imaging, you can't really detect it. But they're subjective complaints in the sense that the person's complaining about them. The objective findings are more physical based when a doctor is actually performing an examination. But the problem is there's some people out there that believe that because they were involved in a minor accident or even a significant one, but they don't have any injuries, they should contact a personal injury attorney because they see these billboards, because they hear these jingles, because they see these ads on TV.
Right. That makes sense. All right. So tell us about anything kind of new updates. What's happening right now?
Bowman Law is expanding. We are currently under construction at what will be our new home in about a month in Wheat Ridge at 44th and Harlan. It's a much bigger space with a lot more offices, which is great because we've been growing. And unfortunately, we outgrew the office that we have been in for the last 7 years. We have a new attorney starting December 1st. She's a litigation attorney. She will help continue to move cases along in litigation. That's an important aspect of it. And then in addition to that, we have continued to invest in cutting edge legal technology. Some of it is AI oriented, but it helps us improve our investigations, review documents, and really help determine case value in real time. It allows the paralegals to establish better relationships with insurance adjusters and our clients, as well as the attorneys doing the same thing.
Amazing. So I'm sure you stay very busy. You've got a lot going on, but what are we doing for fun? What do you do outside of work? Are we still snowboarding?
Oh, yeah. Yes, still snowboarding quite a bit. We have a home in Winter Park, and my wife and my 22-month-old son, we go up there quite often. Now, Colt is not to the point yet where he's snowboarding, but we are buying him a snowboard and a rail that goes on the board this year, so we can kind of tow him around for the purposes of helping him understand, the stance and what we're going to be doing. So when it comes time, when he's able, to understand what he's supposed to do, he's going to be fine just riding a snowboard. It's going to be great. We also are big into traveling still, as much as we can with a toddler.
Yeah.
We're going to Iowa in 2 days to go to the Michigan State versus Iowa football game. And I'm sure that this broadcast will be after that. And I'm sure I'm not going to be thrilled with the fact that Michigan State lost, but
we'll see. Awesome. Well, that kind of wraps it up. Tell us anything we missed, and then all the ways that folks can find you, your website, socials, phone number, all that good stuff.
Sure. To find us, you can look at Bowman Law, on Google, or search on our website, coloradopersonalinjuryhelp.com. You can also email us at info@COPIHELP, coloradopersonalinjuryhelp.com. And you could also call us at 720-863-6904 if you have any questions or you want to talk about a potential case. We have people working 24/7. So if someone calls in after hours or on weekends, there's going to be someone available to take the call, and that could lead to an intake happening shortly thereafter.
Great. All right, Jerry, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Have a great day, and thanks to the listeners out there.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Elevate Denver podcast. If you'd like to be featured on the show, go to elevatedenvermedia.com. That's elevatedenvermedia.com. Or call 303-359-2140.